that's like pulling me from one side to the other side, not knowing. I almost come to a point of inaction and indecision.
Analysis paralysis.
Yeah, exactly. And all these, all these scenarios come in my head, and I'm like, and this is something that's going to happen in 12 months' time, let alone 12 weeks' time.
Can I offer you something else in addition to whether or not your self-doubt is genuine or not? Can I offer you perspective, self-perspective?
Yep.
And this is going to come from you. We'll do a little exercise, because what's happening at the moment is, biologically, we're all, on the African savannah, right? And we're all wired to threat, but the threat isn't, a great big lion anymore. That threat is my safety is being compromised. They're going to take away my gin. That's going to impact how I feel about myself. It's going to impact the financial stability. And so you're performing from your back of your brain, your mind, which is habitual. It just, you don't have to think about it. It's in lockdown, fight or flight. And really, when we're feeling relaxed and expansive, like when we're on holiday, right, we are focusing on our prefrontal cortex, which is the part that has wisdom, that has perspective, that has that compassionate. You know how you just come back from holiday and everything just falls into space, right?
Yeah, and you don't feel overwhelmed. You feel in control. You feel like you can take stuff on. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to get you into that space and then allow you to answer your own questions.
Okay.
That would help.
Yeah.
But first of all, I'm curious. Would you be willing to do a little exercise? It's a kooky exercise, because what I want to do is understand what's driving that self-doubt, because it's almost like there's a competing agenda in your mind. You want to be financially stable. You want to have, can you hear me? Yep. You want to have your gym. You want to have all these things. But then at the same time, you've got that anxiety. And that anxiety about the future is creating the self-doubt. But really, I'm going to give you a metaphor. This is my favorite metaphor about us as people. You are a blue sky. You are a deep, beautiful blue sky. You have clouds, anxiety, fear. These are things that are mind generated, and they're transient. They just pop up. But when we start to identify them with them, I am anxious, I am fearful, it just locks us in, and we forget that we're this wisdom behind it. So we're going to tap into the wisdom of every single part of you working together, right? That knows you, knows what you want to be, and knows how to help create that future that you want. But some of that might be looking at the clouds and understanding why they're there, so that we can let them go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So it's a kooky exercise.
That's okay.
I'm just going to ask you to trust in the process. Okay. Yep. All right. So I would like you to, if you're comfortable, shut your eyes. What we're going to do is we're going to invite different parts of yourself to come in and talk to each other, because at the moment they've got competing agendas. That anxiety
just tell me when.
Okay. So shut your eyes and take a couple of deep breaths. And what we're going to do is we're just going to slow everything down and breathe all the way into your abdomen. And notice the weight of yourself on your sit bones. And take a moment to really appreciate this time, this space, and this intention that you are giving yourself for your own well-being. To connect into yourself and access that wisdom, creativity, and perspective that sits deep within you and that is always there for you. And Rodger, I'm going to be asking a few questions, and feel free to either answer them to me or to go in the journey in your head. If it's just in your head, then just signal with a nod when you're ready for me to proceed. Okay, so I would like you to invite that part of you that is anxiety, and just ask anxiety if it would be willing to come in and talk to us in a safe space without judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Just let me know what it says.
Made me feel really.
Sorry, could you repeat that? Because my internet's funny.
Oh, when you initially said that, my stomach dropped, but it's okay. It's fine.
Will he come and speak to us? Anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we honor every aspect of yourself because we know that they have positive intentions for you. And so please, can you ask anxiety, what is its positive intention for you in making you feel anxious?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Actually, would you mind sharing what he says? Yeah.
I think I heard to make you better.
Okay. What does better, ask him what does better mean?
So I'm hearing the first word I heard was to keep you on top of the game, but then I asked again, and to move towards your potential. That's what I heard.
Okay. And can you please ask anxiety what its intention is to move you towards your potential?
To live a happier life.
Please thank.
And to give it purpose.
To move towards your potential so that you can live a happier life and give you purpose.
Yeah.
And what's its intention in giving you purpose?
To feel valued.
And to feel valued. By who?
Not necessarily other people, but I don't know whether there's an element of justification around what you're doing, and to not feel like as if that there's meaning to what you do. That's what I'm hearing.
Please thank anxiety for sharing so openly its wonderful intention, and ask it if he would be open to exploring other ways of allowing you to move towards your potential, to live a happier life, and to give you meaning to what you do and to feel valued.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay. I'd like to invite another aspect of what you do, another aspect of you. And that part of you is the part that wants a future, a purposeful future, that has clarity and insight. What part of you is that? What part would you like to invite?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Would you like me to invite someone?
Yes, please.
Okay. I would like you to invite wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
To come and join us. Would you invite your wisdom to come and join us?
Yep.
What does he say?
Nothing at the moment.
Will he come join?
Yes.
Okay, great. Fantastic. And can you ask wisdom to work closely with anxiety throughout this process? And also, let's invite compassion. See if compassion will come and join. Yeah.
Reluctantly, yes.
So ask compassion what it would need to feel comfortable to join.
Not to be judged, treated the same as the other two.
Okay.
Because I think compassion doesn't feel like as if they can contribute as much as the other two, or that they don't have as much of an impact.
Okay. So I would like to offer compassion the free space to contribute, knowing that.
Just lost you there.
I would like you to ask compassion, to let compassion know that we value him and that we want to hear from him. Yeah. And that we give the space.
Okay.
Yeah. And ask compassion and wisdom and anxiety to start working together. Create a future that gives you the ability to be happier and move towards your potential. And to give value, to make you feel valued. And this is actually a process that will happen subconsciously. So I would like them to work now in creating a list for you, generating a list of ideas that provides you a way that every part of you is happy, that allows you to look forward to a future where you can fulfill your potential, where you feel valued, and where you have meaning. And I'm just going to ask you to silently witness this and notice any feelings that come up in your body, and for when they're ready, for them to let you know.
Okay.
Have they got some ideas? I would like wisdom to present the top 3 ideas.
I know that I said I gave feedback there around them agreeing that they'd work together, but they haven't come up with any ideas yet.
Okay. So just allow them to work in the background. Allow them. Well, let's just ask, are they willing to work together, to connect for your well-being? Okay. So let's just let go and allow them to do the work. And just take a couple of minutes. And this doesn't even have to be conscious in your mind. Just trust the process. And ask them to let you know when they're ready.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And ask who would like to present.
Yeah, wisdom.
Okay. So ask wisdom to present its top few ideas that the others agree to.
There are some things, but I don't know whether they're going to come across.
Try.
Because to me, I'm hearing them to be so abstract.
That's okay.
It's almost like I don't have one that's dominating the other. but I can hear that like Mr. Anxious is has not a very short fuse, but impatient.
Mm.
And wisdom's trying to work with both. So the only thing I'm sort of hearing that is that they're trying to basically say that they need to work together and not go out independently or unilaterally.
Yeah.
And to let one know the other. Not necessarily, they don't have to work together all the time, but that they're going to tell each other consistently what, or remind each other of what they're doing.
Yeah. Perfect. And so if
I don't know how that come up, but it did.
yeah. So to be able to work together to give you that future, right?
Mm.
But let's ask wisdom what advice it can give Rodger about what happens in the moment when anxiety arises and he feels himself reacting. What can wisdom offer as an insight to Rodger and as an action step?
I'm hearing trust the process. And that's all I can hear.
Ask wisdom what process.
Can you repeat that again around Mr. Anxiety?
Yeah, so
Just to get clarification.
yeah, so ask wisdom what insight or advice you can give Rodger about what he can do or how he can be when he notices anxiety is arising and he moves into a space of reactivity, which doesn't allow him to step into his potential or doesn't allow him to feel valued or meaningful. So what advice can he offer? What advice can wisdom offer anxiety that will allow you to be valued?
Okay. I think trust the process is a thing that I'm hearing that wisdom is saying around having the understanding that it's okay to feel a certain amount of anxiety, but to use that from a positive standpoint, knowing that you'll learn from it. Yeah.
So what will help
That's all I heard.
anxiety? Yeah. I'm hearing anxiety feeling acknowledged and appreciated here. And there's almost an energy that anxiety has that can be used in a much more constructive purpose to help you achieve what it is that you want and that anxiety wants. Just ask the group to come up with some steps of taking that energy and harnessing it positively.
Yeah, I'm not hearing anything yet.
You don't have to hear anything. Just let them communicate. What does anxiety need to know at this stage?
I think when you say at this stage.
Yeah, when he's feeling anxious
Okay.
and worried.
That it's going to be okay.
Yeah. So what does wisdom and compassion say about it's going to be okay?
Okay. So I suppose I haven't talked about compassion yet. So I think compassion needs to at least say to Mr. Wisdom that, Mr. Anxiety, that you don't have to overthink it, or go above and beyond, and just experience it for what it is, and not necessarily think about every permutation that might occur, or if they do, Mr. Wisdom, I think Mr. Wisdom is stepping in and saying that based on previous experiences, it will turn out okay. Yeah.
Yeah. What comes up for you and your parts when you hear yourself say that?
Relief. I
Do
think
you
it was
know?
just my breath. I think it was. I think it was just my breath. My breath that came out.
Do you know deep in your bones that it will be okay? Do all your parts confirm that? Except for anxiety.
Yeah, yeah. Mr. Anxiety is still saying, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. So what would help anxiety in the moment to remember it will be okay and that it's safe to just be present?
There's one thing that Mr. Anxiety is saying, and that is the whole thing about seeking reassurance.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing that I'm sort of listening to them talk, and from an out, I think Mr. Anxiety is valuing themselves a lot based on how other people judge them or perceive them, and doesn't really understand how to feel valued by Mr. Wisdom and Compassion unless it's said by someone else. So they find it very important to seek reassurance externally.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why that is.
So let's ask, what is Mr. Anxiety's intention in seeking external reassurance?
It was a bit of back and forward between compassion and anxiety. Um, I think Mr. Compassion said that trying to validate what you're doing, or even give yourself or feel satisfied that you've done an okay job, or things are going to be okay, or scenarios of what ifs of what people are going to say. Sometimes you don't really know whether those people are qualified to even say it. or judge you. So why would you value it? Yeah. That's what I think that's probably the main conversation that I heard.
Who is the most important person to feel valued by?
Oh, the three. Like, yeah, myself, I think.
Yeah. And what does wisdom or compassion have to say about valuing
They're not as hard.
yourself?
Yeah, they're not as, they definitely feel like from that standpoint, they feel like they add a lot more to that side of things.
Yeah. Do they believe you're enough?
Yeah, yeah. I think Mr. Wisdom, yes, definitely.
Yeah. So what does wisdom, what can wisdom give Mr. Anxiety as a reassurance every single time? What's a signal, or what sort of thing can they share so that whenever anxiety arises, Mr. Anxiety has that reassurance?
Yeah, 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 yeah. And that, yeah. Because they don't really know where that assurance is coming from.
Yeah. So can you get them
Good, yeah, good, bad, more knowledgeable, less knowledgeable, it doesn't really matter.
yeah. Can you get them between them to create a process where they can actually work together? So at times where anxiety arises about the what ifs of the future, or the what ifs of how other people think, how they can leverage the value that anxiety has and give it the reassurance that it needs, because you know everything's going to be all right.
Yeah, yeah. I can definitely see them talking about that. Yeah.
So if
Still
you
some
get, yeah,
chatter going on, but they're pretty much talking about the same thing.
take as much time as you need and then get them to present back a process, steps to help you.
So what I'm hearing is that if Mr. Anxiety does think about different options and different paths, etc., they need to consult with Mr. Wisdom and Compassion to be reassured that whatever path they pick, even if they don't know beforehand, before that, whether it's 1 hour before or the day before, whatever they might be thinking out, that they need to just either that they'll be reassured that if they make whatever decision that they make, that Mr. Wisdom will help, and following the decision, Mr. Compassion will make sure that, or both of them will make sure that even if you didn't have a clear path at the start, that it'll fall into place. And I think the other option that I heard was that if there's all these different ideas and what if scenarios that might be making Mr. Anxiety feel a certain way, that they just need to pick one path and Mr. Wisdom saying that they need to learn from that, even if it's not the right one. Even if it doesn't work, to be not necessarily brave enough, but I think Mr. Wisdom is saying that based on previous occurrences, it will be okay. Yeah.
How do you feel when you hear yourself say that?
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely am not like that because there's no Mr. Compassion's not there.
Yeah.
And I think I relied a lot on Mr. Wisdom there, but even after the fact, I don't think I mentioned the fact that Mr. Compassion will come in and actually share some wisdom, so to speak.
Yeah.
Of not to be too hard on yourself, and to know that as long as you give it 100%, you should be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're constantly learning, where does failure fit in that?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't. And even if it does, it's not as significant.
And what would be the impact on your life if anxiety and wisdom and compassion worked together and helped you navigate and learn from everything?
To me, it feels like as if they've just met each other.
They need to go on a few dates.
I know that they've been around, but I don't think they knew of each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what comes up for you if I suggest something like, in moments of this, trust the process, trust wisdom and compassion, and allow them to hear anxiety, but take some of the pressure off of anxiety and allow anxiety to flag up at constructive times when it needs reassurance, when it feels things need to maybe be aligned, so that you use that energy in a way that helps to get happiness for you to be valued. How does that fit with the part?
Yeah, it actually feels very relieving, actually.
Does anxiety agree?
Yeah. I think Mr. Anxiety doesn't feel as alone. Is that a good word?
Yeah.
And that there's help there that they can seek.
Yeah. So just ask them to continue to work together, and to send a signal to you, Rodger, that you're able to recognize when you need to consciously tap into the 3. And just ask them what that signal should be to you.
Yeah, okay. I'm just hearing stop.
Okay.
And pause and think. Slow down. I'm hearing slow down. Yeah, that's all I know that there's some thoughts going on between them, but they were the initial things that I heard.
So Rodger, what commitment can you give to listening to your body when it tells you stop, slow down, think, to actually do that?
I think the big thing for me is like my analytical side, and I can tell when my brain's firing logically versus in a different state. And when I think of Mr. Wisdom, Mr. Compassion, my brain completely switches off logic. Like not I'm not saying I'm illogical, but that harsher analytical side, the
Judgmental side.
Yeah. That's a good idea. Yeah, that's a good one. Tends to disappear. Not necessarily disappear, but it's contained with some reassurance.
Yeah.
Exactly,
because you're tapping into your blue sky and you're not identifying with the clouds.
Yeah. Actually, yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a good. Was that an analogy that you used?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So may I offer something that really helps me?
Do I keep my eyes still closed? Or?
Oh, you can open up if you like.
Okay.
Please thank your part for participating. They are awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah, I haven't done that before. Wow.
Yeah.
To close my eyes to get there.
Yeah. But they were all really willing and open, and
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
hear the wisdom within yourself, right?
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah,
So
that was good.
one of the things that I find really, really helps me is it starts with awareness, because we all have these programs that run in the background, you know, and these scripts or these voices, these beliefs, and they sometimes go, you are not good enough, nothing will turn out right, you know, and whatever it is, they tend to be tied to something that's happened in our past. And once we understand what those are, we can just release them.
Yeah.
Or as soon as we start to bring awareness that it's happening, we can start to consciously make choices and go, is this constructive or is it destructive? What do I choose to do with it? So it starts with awareness. And then the second part is objectivity. So you notice that that feeling is arising, but you don't indulge in it. You don't attach to it. So the thought arises, you don't suppress it, you don't indulge it. You go, interesting. Self-doubt is happening. Noted. Interesting. Anxiety is happening. Instead of, I am anxious, I am, which is a perpetuating loop. These are just the clouds.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
your awareness is the blue sky. And all of
Yeah.
this can change.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's really, I never tied it into those analogies, and even just to sort of think of it as, just even just watching you just look at it that way actually also is like a different cue as well. In terms of it being here, it's actually outside
Yeah,
externally.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. Exactly it. These are just thoughts.
Mm.
They're emotions. They aren't who you are.
Mm.
They're like mind
Mm.
burps, you know?
Yeah. Okay.